If you're a first-time buyer or you're just looking to buy a new home, you're going to want to keep watching, because today we're talking about all the things you need to be aware of when buying a home and how to protect your escrow deposit. Hello my friends, it's Lee Brickey with the Brickey team and Keller Williams Reserve, and welcome to another edition of Real Estate Tips and Tours. So today we're talking about buying a new home and keeping the stress level as low as possible. So today the market is moving really fast and hard to navigate. So it's really important that you know the right steps to move forward in buying a new home so you don't trip up, make a mistake, and lose money. But before we start, if this is the first time you've been to my site, please don't forget to slap that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our real estate tips and tours. I put a new video up every single week, and on Tuesdays, we have our Tuesdays real estate market tips for South Florida. Also, you're going to want to watch to the very end, because I'm going to show you how to pull your credit for free and know exactly what your credit scores are and what your credit looks like. So with that said, let's get into it. So the first step that you want to make anytime you're buying a new home is find a good real estate agent to be your buyer's agent. This is super important, especially now, because right now homes are moving really fast and they're all going for more than list price and appraisal. So having a good real estate agent can really help you save money and not make expensive mistakes. Here's what's great about a buyer's agent, is a buyer's agent is getting paid by the seller just like the seller's agent is. So it's free to you to use a buyer's agent. So why wouldn't you want to be represented? Understand this, a seller's agent, even though considered what's called a transaction broker, still has a fiduciary responsibility to the seller. So they're trying to get the seller the most money they can for that house. Where a buyer's agent has your back. They're trying to help you buy the house for the least amount of money and make sure that you're represented properly, and making sure that you're not tripping up along the way and losing that escrow deposit. So you want to find a good buyer's agent as soon as possible, even if you're not looking to buy for 6 months or a year. This way, they can help you start the process. A good buyer's agent can give you a feel of the market, the pricing in the market, and the community that's going to fit you and your family the best. For example, I just had a couple come down this week from New York to purchase in Port St. Lucie. After talking with them and spending time with them, I realized that they were looking for an environment a little different than Port St. Lucie. So I turned them on to Jupiter in Palm Beach Gardens. Now, with that said, they're going to get a lot less house. They're going to go from a single family home to a townhome. They're not looking to purchase probably for the next 2 or 3 months, because they have to secure their jobs down here first. But I recommended them to go ahead and go to my lender so we knew what their purchase price was going to be, because they thought they were only going to be able to spend $350,000. But after going through the approval process and finding out what their rate was going to be and using their down payment from their home they're selling in New York, they figured out that they could spend $100 grand more than that. So that put them in a whole different situation. So that allows them to come to Jupiter and get a really nice townhome for $450,000 without going through an agent like myself first, and then going through the approval process and finding exactly what they can spend. We would have never known this. So I would have continued just to show them Port St. Lucie in the scattered lots in the non-HOA, which they didn't want to be in. They wanted to be in an HOA community. So that brings me to my second point. Not only do you need a good real estate agent to get started, but you also need to find a good lender. And most good real estate agents have a few lenders that they can refer you to that do business with them, and that relationship is tight. Because when a real estate agent has a good relationship with the lender, it makes the deal flow much more smoothly. And I can pick up the phone at 9 o'clock at night and call a lender that I have a relationship with, and they'll answer the phone so I can get questions and concerns answered that my client may have. And this is a big deal because when do clients usually worry? At nighttime when they get home from work. That's when they're giving me a call saying, hey, what about this? What about that? Most of the time I have the answer, but sometimes I don't, and I need to pick up the phone and call my lender and say, hey, I have a question for you. Can you answer it so my client can sleep well tonight? It's a stressful process going through buying a home. So that's why a good real estate agent and a good lender is super important to have right up front. Now, why would you want to have a lender and a real estate agent 6 months before you purchase? Let's say you're looking for a new construction. Well, that's going to be a whole different lender because builders in these new construction communities use their own lenders. And you're going to want to use that lender in most cases because they're going to give you concessions towards your closing costs and sometimes concessions for upgrades. But if you're a little concerned about your credit, your agent can help walk you through that. And like for me, it's nothing for my lender to take a look at all of your paperwork for you so that you can have a good comparison on rates and closing costs. And I've seen it sometimes where you can save so much money with an outside lender, it doesn't even make sense to go with the builder's lender. So another thing you're going to want to be aware of is your credit score, because your credit score is going to affect your rate and it's going to affect your closing costs. And you're going to want to know what all three of your credit scores are, because what the mortgage company does is they take the middle one and that's the credit score that they use. So if you decided yesterday that you wanted to buy a home and then you go to a lender and run your credit and your credit is low, you're going to spend a lot more money than if you would have started early and they could have worked on your credit just a little bit to get the scores up. So I've seen it before where a client of ours had a 780 credit score, goes and turns in a leased car at the end of the lease, buys a new car, but there's a balance left. No one tells her, so they charge the balance off on her credit and knock her credit down into the 600s. And she doesn't find out until she's ready to buy a home. And it's too late because it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get that credit back up to a 700. Another reason why you want to get a really good lender is because once you get that pre-approval and you're ready to go out and buy, you want to find out exactly what your payment's going to be. What a lot of people don't understand, especially first-time buyers and people that haven't bought in the last 10 or 15 years, that the lender is going to escrow your taxes and your insurance in your closing costs. So your closing costs are going to include your bank fees, your doc stamps, your taxes, your insurance, and both of those things are going to be escrowed for a year. So let's talk about what kind of loans are out there right now, because back in the 2008 crash, there were all kinds of ARMs and interest-only loans and all kinds of craziness. That stuff doesn't exist anymore. So when people say the market's gonna crash or we're heading for a bubble, that's really not the case like it was in 2008, because in 2008, what happened was there were a lot of non-income verified loans out there. So now they're verifying everything about you, your job, your income, your citizenship, where you live now. They want to go through bank statements, they want tax returns, they want W-2s or 1099s. So all of these loans are good loans, and these lenders have done their due diligence to make sure that the person buying that house can afford to make that payment. So with rising prices the way they are right now, we're not in a bubble and we're not going to see a market crash, because in South Florida right now, we have 1,000 people a day moving here. So it's a supply and demand problem, not a bubble. So what are the 4 types of loans? You have VA, which is for veterans only. no money down, just closing cost. You have FHA, which is usually 3.5% down with closing cost. Then you have a conventional loan, which can be 5 to 20% or more. And then you have what's called a USDA loan, which is like a farmland loan or a rural area loan, which really doesn't apply to most purchases being made today, especially in Florida. Another important factor in buying a home or getting a mortgage is student loans. Student loans have been a terrible, terrible issue for years now. And thank God that the feds have just done something about that. They've just changed those guidelines on student loans, which brings me to the next point. Buy a house before you buy a car. And if you buy a car before you buy a house, make sure the car you buy has a small payment on it or you're paying cash. I can't tell you again how many times we run someone's credit. They make really, really good money, but they've gone out and bought a Mercedes Benz and they've got a $1,400 car payment and it's just wrecking their DTI. So they can't afford to purchase the home they wanted and they have to purchase something lesser because their car payment's so high. Another thing that's really important, let's say you're moving to Florida from another state. You're gonna want to come to Florida and find a job first. So if you find a job, the company can give you a letter saying that this is your hire date, this is how much money you're gonna be making, and then the lender can use that to get your loan. Because if you're moving to Florida and this is gonna be your main residence and you're selling your home in the other state, you're gonna want that home to be owner occupied. Because number one, you're gonna have a lower down payment, and number two, you're gonna have a better rate. And here in Florida, we have what's called homestead exemption, which is gonna save you money on your taxes. Next, make sure you're paying your taxes, especially self-employed people. Pay your taxes and talk to your lender early. And when I say early, before you file your taxes. Because with a self-employed person, your lender is gonna need 2 years of tax returns unless you've been filing taxes with that company for at least 5 years. And then if you owe on taxes, you're gonna want to either pay those taxes off or you're gonna wanna put them on a payment plan. So that's all I have for you today. I hope it was helpful. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me about your stories of buying a home or going through the process. Have you had any crazy stuff happen? I love to hear what people have to say. I hope it's not too crazy. And then also, if you haven't bought a home and you have some questions, leave a comment and I'd love to answer those questions for you. And if you look in the information section below, I'll leave my lender's website. His name is Brent Starts, Unitas Lending. They're a great company. They do an awesome job for their clients. And he's been doing this for a long time, 30 years in the mortgage business. So he knows his stuff. And as always, I'll also leave a link for my website. If you'd like to search homes anywhere in the Treasure Coast or Palm Beach County, you can see all the information that real estate agents see, so you'll know if a home is on the market still or if it's under contract. So you're not wasting your time looking at homes that are already sold. And you'll get a good idea of what the market is selling for. And if you'd like to check your credit, I'll leave a link for Experian. You can check your credit for free there. And they also offer a free trial. I'm not getting anything for this, so I'm just offering it up. And I tell all my clients, go online, check your credit with Experian. You get a free trial so that you can pull your credit bureaus and you can see what your credit score is on all 3 bureaus. And again, if this is the first time you've been to my site, don't forget to slap that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, and you can watch our next video right there. Be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time.